Good day and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. The conflict inside of Ethiopia continues unabated. The Tigrayan Defense Forces continue to consolidate their hold deep inside of the Amhara province of Ethiopia. Right now, there appears to be two rather significant offenses occurring right now. These are offensive operations that are taking place, obviously, in and around Weldia on the southeastern front, and then further towards the central front. Operations continue in and around the city of Debark. And I would say that both of these cities, for all intents and purposes, would be under siege at the moment. There obviously has been reports that the Tigrayan Defense Forces have actually entered both cities. Now the question is, have they entered in force, or are these reconnaissance units that have entered the outlying suburbs of these two towns? And I would say right now, the latter is the case, meaning the penetrations into these two cities were obviously most likely forward reconnaissance elements that are operating in the vicinity of the towns. Now, there's appears to be a fairly unique situation developing in the town of the city of Weldia. The Tigrayan Defense Forces right now have pressed to the outskirts of the city and have taken several strong points around the city of Weldia. And it would appear that there was an engagement, an internal engagement between the Ethiopian army and armed Amhara militia and paramilitary units that were trying to prevent the Ethiopian army from withdrawing from the city of Weldia. We understand that there was significant engagements that occurred to the northeast of the city, in which a fairly significant unit of the Ethiopian army had to retreat into the city. It lost several tanks, armored fighting vehicles, and other heavier systems to the Tigrayan Defense Forces in that pitched battle. And we're also hearing reports that the Ethiopian army sustained rather significant casualties in that battle, along with Amhara militias who were reinforcing those elements of the Ethiopian army. Now, we do understand there are fairly significant elements of Amhara paramilitaries inside of Weldia that are looking to prevent the Tigrayan Defense Forces from occupying the town fully. Now, the TDF would have the capability of reducing those forces and quite possibly causing extensive damage to the town as it sets up heavy gun emplacements around the town, and would be able to call for direct artillery fire support on the town as needed. Now, is that going to happen? We will remain and be seen. I would anticipate that we would see some sort of capitulation with these Amhara paramilitaries at some point, or we could possibly see a urban fight. Some of the other channels, as you observe what is happening, would gravitate away from any sort of urbanized conflict, but unfortunately, this is war, and in war, urban battles will take place. There is simply not the ability to withdraw at every urbanized outpost, settlement, city as the enemy approaches. At some point, the opposing force will have to make a stand and use a city as a defensive barrier against an attack, and that would be both in terms of the Tigrayan Defense Forces and obviously the Ethiopian Army and the Amhara paramilitaries as well. So I think at some point we will see that. We did not see that occur to a great extent on the initial invasion of the Tigray region. There was an operational plan to put up token resistance as the Ethiopian army continued to move through the Tigray region, but the towns and cities were not reinforced, were not fortified, and we did not see a massive fight for cities and towns. However, with that being said, we could see that in the future. At some point, that is going to happen, and it was a strategy that worked for the Tigrayan Defense Forces. I would say it was a risky strategy in terms of not fortifying some of these cities and putting up heavier resistance, but in the end, it seemed to work out okay for the TDF. As for what is happening inside of Ethiopia, it could be a different story, but we'll have to continue to monitor the situation, see what happens. I would anticipate that Waldea will either surrender or, unfortunately, there will be an engagement for the city of Waldea, and there will be an urban battle that may take place. But again, we'll have to see what happens. In the central front towards the town of Debark, the Tigrayan Defense Forces continue to take control of the surrounding terrain features and mountains, which will give them the ability to place gun emplacements on top of these terrain features. Besides, if the issue is not to physically move into Debark and hold positions here, these could be significant strong points for the Tigrayan Defense Forces in case of any counteroffensive is attempted by the Ethiopian army and the Amhara militias back towards the Tigray region. So taking possession of this area here that you can see on my map would be of great strategic and tactical value for the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And again, it would also give the TDF the ability to, if necessary, reduce Debark. And in case that Debark, if the goal is to take Debark physically and move forces into Debark as they press south towards Gondar, then they would have that ability to attack Debark directly with heavy artillery if needed. I think at this point, the objective is to have the city capitulate, have forces withdraw, but at some point there is going to be urbanized combat, as you just cannot continue to withdraw and not engage forces inside of cities. It's just it's not the way warfare works, and we will eventually see it occur if there is not some sort of political solution to the conflict. And with that being said, it does not look like a political solution will at this point occur. It looks like the Tigray side, the Tigrayan Defense Forces, are looking for a military solution, a final victory and a win, and not to have to deal with what occurred inside of the Tigray region a few months back. And I think that is the goal as we speak until a setback occurs. I believe right now it looks like the TDF is driving towards Gondar. And will that city be taken? Well, that will to be seen. But right now, it appears that Debark is under siege. Strong points are being built up by the TDF, and we could see that city fall within the next hours or even days. And again, that is the same with Waldea. In terms of what is occurring in other parts of the Tigray region, we continue to hear about a possible buildup of Eritrean forces along the border of both Afar and the border with the Tigray region. Is this offensive in nature, and what would be the purpose for the Eritreans to reinvade the Tigray region? Would it benefit Eritrea? Would it benefit Isaias Afwerki? And I'm not sure that question can be answered, and I'm not sure that Isaias Afwerki is willing to risk reinvading the Tigray region in order to save Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party. I think the Eritrean government and state is going to look after its own regime first, and sending thousands and thousands of conscripted troops into a possible situation where they could be defeated is much more of a jeopardy for the regime as opposed to maintaining the status quo in terms of looking at maintaining its control over Amhara. And at some point that could come into question too, as the TDF looks to launch an offensive in the west to regain control of the Sudanese border. But that's where we stand at the moment. We will continue to monitor the situation, and especially watching events near Weldia, and obviously to the northeast of Gondar, which is Debark. We will continue to report as information comes in. Have a great day, everybody.